When divine burdens tower, 3 miraculous ways heaven heals your soul and reveals true peace. Mary stood at the threshold of the centuries-old chapel, her heart heavier than the dark clouds that loomed above the quaint village. Once, the weight of her burdens seemed bearable, but now desperation pressed down like a storm. As she clutched her rosary, the familiar beads warmed under her fingers like a flicker of hope, but doubt swirled in the corners of her mind. The loss of her husband's job and her son's spiraling addiction felt like insurmountable mountains. "God, are you listening?" she whispered, the echo of her prayer seeming to bounce back at her, empty and devoid of answer. As the congregation gathered that Sunday morning, breathless anticipation covered the air like a sacred mist. Pastor Thomas, with his gentle eyes and unyielding faith, began to share the story of St. Jude, the patron of hopeless causes. "He stands with us, holding our hands through despair." His voice resonated deep within Maria's soul, igniting a flicker of light. She found herself leaning in, each word wrapping around her like a warm embrace. After the service, Mary opened her heart to Pastor Thomas. "What if my prayers are futile? What if I'm not worthy of your St. Jude's help?" The pastor's eyes twinkled with divine wisdom. "Sometimes we stray from our roots. Return to prayer, Mary. Stitch your family's heart with the fabric of faith." Encouraged, Mary began to lean into tradition. She lit candles each night, whispering prayers for her family. It wasn't long before small miracles began to unfurl. A friendly neighbor, previously distant, brought over a basket of fresh produce, and her husband found temporary work. Glimmers of hope danced around the edges of her heart, illuminating the shadows of despair. Just as her home filled with tentative brightness, the ground beneath her seemed to quake. Her son, Mark, faced another dark night, leading to a chaotic outburst during a community prayer meeting. The stares of her fellow villagers pierced through her heart like arrows. Tears streamed down her face as she called out for help, caught between shame and love. In the midst of it all, a visitor, a woman with a radiant spirit, rose from the back and delivered a prophetic word, igniting the room with electricity. "Believe in miracles, even when everything seems lost. Heaven hears you." A swell of fervent prayer erupted, resonating through the chapel like a mighty wave. Mary felt an urge to rise, to join the chorus of voices beseeching for divine intervention. As the pastor led them in unison, the air thickened, pregnant with anticipation. It seemed that heaven itself had leaned close, catching their cries as they rose toward the heavens. Before we continue, I need to tell you about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, click the bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can leave a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. Tears of joy mingled with the collective resolve circling around her. Mary sensed the possibilities and awakening a potential for true healing in her family as flickers of warmth enveloped her. The community stood strong, filled with the spirit of hope. Yet, an ominous shadow lingered, with the reality of her son's struggles heavy on her heart. Nevertheless, Mary resolved to uncover 3 miraculous ways that faith could heal her soul, standing firm against the rising tide of despair. As they concluded the meeting, with the congregation lingering in fervent prayers, Mary felt the tension in the air. This wasn't the end, but perhaps the very beginning of their journey. Would divine light pierce through the thickening darkness? Would help flow like a river? The question hung in the air, weaving a thread of expectations for what lay ahead. The week that followed was filled with prayer and quiet determination. Each night, Mary lit a candle, its flickering flame a symbol of her unwavering hope. With each prayer uttered, she felt a gentle strength rising within her. She couldn't ignore the heaviness, but she began to believe in the power of faith to lighten her load. One evening, as she knelt before the altar at home, the doorbell rang unexpectedly. It was Claire, that radiant woman from the prayer meeting. "I felt led to visit you," Mary, Claire said, her smile warming the cool air around them. God placed you on my heart. Tears filled Mary's eyes. In that moment she felt less alone. They sat together, sipping tea and sharing stories of strength that had been drawn from faith. Claire shared her own battles, the ones she had fought and won through prayer. As she spoke, Mary's heart resonated with understanding. Maybe we are not meant to carry these burdens alone, Mary mused aloud. Perhaps that's where we see the hand of God most clearly. With Claire's encouragement, Mary acted. Together, they organized a prayer meeting specifically for those struggling with addiction. It was at her home, and that gathering turned into a sacred sanctuary of confessions, struggles, tears, and laughter. Neighbors poured in, drawn by the promise of solace and shared faith. As they prayed over each person's struggles, something shifted in Mary's heart. She marveled at the resilience of the community that stood by her side. Suddenly, it wasn't just her burden. It was shared in unity. The sect of love surrounded her like a sacred armor, shining light through the cracks of despair. Then came a pivotal moment. That Friday, during the prayer meeting, Pastor Thomas visited them. With humble grace, he opened the Word and shared stories of believers who overcame the odds through unwavering faith. God does not promise us an easy life, he said, but he does promise to be with us in every trial. Mary felt every word pull at her soul. Here was a promise of presence, not absence. With tears streaming down her face, she began to understand how deep faith could transform them. It was the realization that each struggle, each prayer, was not in vain but a stepping stone toward a profound connection with the divine. In that sacred gathering, Mary felt the Spirit move among them. A divine weight lifted, and she witnessed the faces around her soften as hope took root. Each voice joined in a chorus of gratitude. Hearts surrendered to the grace of their Creator. By the night's end, everyone left with renewed spirits, the sense of fulfillment wrapping around them like a comforting blanket. Yet, as she closed the door that night, a sensation of restlessness stirred within Mary. Her heart felt full, yet it yearned for something greater. She could sense the beginning of a momentous transformation looming nearer. Would Mark find the strength to fight his battles? Would she discover the miraculous healing her soul sought? Mary lay in bed, staring at the ceiling, pondering Goddess promises. The uncertainty danced before her like a flickering candle. A profound question lingered. What would it mean for her family to receive another miracle? As her eyes fluttered shut, she clung to the thought that her burdens, though still heavy, were now held within a circle of light, poised for extraordinary change. The next day, she resolved to step deeper into her faith and follow the call she felt resonating in her spirit. What awaited her as she stepped forward? The mystery hung in the air, filled with divine anticipation. Morning light streamed through the curtains, casting soft patterns across Mary's bedroom. Felt like a gentle invitation. Today was not just another day. It held promise. With renewed determination, she rose, her heart racing with expectation. She whispered a prayer of gratitude as she prepared herself for what lay ahead. Stepping outside, she noticed the air was crisp, fresh with the scent of dew-covered grass. Goddess creation felt alive, vibrant in a way that mirrored her own awakening. As she walked through the neighborhood, a sense of purpose filled her. She was no longer just a caretaker of her burdens. She was a beacon of hope. Mary decided to visit Mark. He had been distant for so long, tangled in shadows that clung to him like a heavy cloak. Yet, today, she felt a gentle urging in her spirit, a call to reach out. Maybe what he needed was a reminder that he was not alone. When she arrived at his house, anxiety gripped her briefly. What if he wasn't ready to embrace help? Still, love pushed her forward. She knocked, her heart thudding in rhythm with the beats of her faith. "Hey, Mary," he greeted, his face momentarily surprised, then guarded. "What brings you here?" "I wanted to see how you're doing, Mark," she replied softly. "I've been praying for you." Her sincere gaze caught him off guard. She could see the heaviness in his eyes. The walls he had built seemed less impenetrable under the warmth of her faith. He gestured her in, and as she settled into his living room, they began to talk. Slowly, he began to share. Each word that flowed from his lips was a release, like a dam finally breaking free. His struggles unfolded his fears, his loneliness, the nagging temptations that pulled at him. Mary listened, heart breaking in sympathy, yet lifting with hope that her love could sow seeds of healing. "I just don't know if I can change," Mark admitted, vulnerability lining his voice. Mary, emboldened by her faith, reached for his hands. "You are not meant to fight this battle alone, Mark. God sees you. He knows your heart. We're meant to carry each other's burdens." Tears misted his eyes, and Mary gently squeezed his hands. "We can walk this path together, with our community beside us. Just one step at a time." That moment of connection held a palpable energy. Mark's guarded spirit began to soften, and hope flickered to life within him. By evening, they found themselves deep in prayer, surrounded by the rising warmth of divine presence. Looking at Mark, Mary marveled at his gradual transformation. As they prayed, something shifted in the atmosphere. Light seemed to envelop them, washing away shadows and replacement them with chains of love. Days passed, and the prayer meetings flourished. The embrace of faith enveloped the community like a comforting quilt. People returned time and again, sharing their burdens and emerging refreshed. Stories of healing trickled through the meetings, igniting inspiration. With each gathering, Mary felt herself drawn deeper into the heart of God. A divinely ecstatic joy swelled in her soul, touching every fiber of her being. Yet she sensed there was more. There was still a flicker of curiosity igniting within her. She could feel the promise of further unfolding. "Mary, what if we invite more people?" Claire suggested one night, her eyes sparkling with the thrill of new possibilities. "What about those we don't usually reach?" Mary felt a tingle of excitement run through her. The question hung in the air. Just how far could their faith stretch? What miracles awaited them on the other side of courage? Her heart raced at the thought. The potential of what God could do filled her with divine anticipation. With each week, the growing congregation of believers around them lifted her spirit higher. As Mary closed her eyes that night, she felt a whispering urgency, a beckoning towards even greater faith. She prayed fervently, gripped by the wonder of what was to come. Tomorrow would bring another opportunity to step in faith. But what would happen when they reached out to those lost in darkness? What miracles awaited them on that journey? The dawn of a new day broke gently, painting the sky with hues of soft pink and gold. Mary awoke, her spirit lighter, buoyed by the hope that had blossomed in her heart. As she prepared for the day ahead, she sensed a whisper, a clarion call that beckoned her deeper into purpose. Each moment felt ordained, a glorious setup by God for remarkable encounters. With a renewed sense of passion, Mary joined Claire at the coffee shop, their usual meeting place buzzing with laughter and warmth. The aroma of freshly brewed coffee mingled with the chatter of their community. It felt good to be surrounded by those she loved, all seeking more from God together. "Mary, I've been thinking," Claire began, her eyes shimmering. "What if we don't just invite more people? What if we go out into the neighborhoods, into the streets where they are hurting the most?" The idea struck Mary like a lightning bolt. Going out meant confronting fears that had kept many hidden for far too long. "Are we ready for that?" she asked, heart racing. "What if they don't want to hear what we have to share?" Claire placed a reassuring hand on her shoulder. "We don't have to have all the answers. We only need to show them God's love. He'll do the rest." A surge of excitement coursed through her as she replied, "Let us do it. Let us invite people to our prayer and worship nights. But let us also hit the streets with kindness. Hand out food, share stories, spread hope." That was it, a divine spark. They spent the next few days organizing their efforts, gathering supplies, and mobilizing volunteers from their growing community. They crafted small care packages filled with essentials: food, bottled water, and heartfelt notes of encouragement. As the sun dipped low that Friday evening, the air around them pulsed with anticipation. The nervous energy shared among the group was sweetened by the promise of God's presence. Mary could feel something stirring, an eagerness that felt almost palpable. Hand in hand, they prayed for strength, courage, and divine guidance. "Let us be vessels of your love, God," Mary implored aloud, and the group echoed her prayers in unified, passionate tones. Each word was a step further into the unknown, stepping into the light that stood waiting on the other side. They ventured to the local park, a common gathering place for those wrestling with their own struggles. Mary's heart drummed in her chest as she glanced around, seeing faces lined with anxiety, sadness, and despair. Would they really connect? As they began to hand out food and offerings, Mary noticed a hesitant figure nearby, a young man engrossed in the shadows, his gaze distant. It was as if a veil covered him, cloaking him from the love that buzzed all around. She felt an urging in her spirit. "Let me speak to him," she whispered to Claire, who nodded with encouragement. Walking toward him, Mary felt the weight of the moment. "Hi there," she said gently, her voice threading through the noise around them. "I just want you to know that you are not alone. We're here to bring hope and love. Is there anything we can do for you?" The young man looked surprised. "I don't know. I'm not used to." His voice trailed off, but Mary could see the flicker of yearning behind his guarded eyes. "It's okay to feel lost. Just know that God is here for you. He loves you more than you can imagine," she said, warmth spilling from her heart. His gaze faltered, and for a moment, Mary saw something shift within him, like a wall beginning to crumble. The connection ignited a feeling soaring between them, a glimpse of divine potential untapped. As evening turned into dusk and the stars twinkled bright overhead, more souls joined their gathering, drawn by the light they shared. Music filled the air, flowing seamlessly into their prayers. Stories emerged, rich with struggles yet intertwined with a fierce sense of hope. In that sacred space, Mark appeared, smiling and brimming with newfound courage. "Is it too late for me to join?" he asked, and Mary's heart soared. "Of course not. You're always welcome here," she cried, enveloping him in a warm embrace. As the joy of community surrounded them, Mary pondered the journey ahead. Could they delve deeper and transform more lives? What awaited them through this divine avenue of faith? The night was just beginning, but they were about to step into something far beyond their imaginations. As the night deepened, the laughter and music transformed into a soft, reverent hum. Mary felt the warmth of bodies gathered close, their eyes glimmering with hope and desire. There was something electric in the air, a spirit of unity born from shared hope. She could almost see Goddess Grace dancing in the space between them. "Let us share our stories," Claire suggested, her voice calm yet filled with excitement. "Maybe we can inspire each other to embrace our struggles and remind one another of Goddess love." One by one, they took turns. A woman named Sarah spoke first. With tears glistening in her eyes, she recounted her battle with loneliness and how, in her darkest moments, she found solace in prayer. Her heart opened like a flower, and Mary witnessed the way the group leaned in, encouraging her with nods and murmurs of support. What struck Mary most was the truth that emerged from every story. Each struggle was a pathway leading to deeper faith, and through their shared experiences, they found connection to each other and to God. It was a tapestry of brokenness woven with threads of redemption. Next, Mark shared how he had battled addiction but found strength through the love of people who never stopped believing in him. "I didn't think I could be free, but each time I prayed, something shifted. I realized God wanted me back. He never turned his back on me," he said, each word bursting forth as if unveiling a hidden treasure. As he spoke, the Spirit filled the space like a warm blanket, wrapping all of them in comfort. Mary closed her eyes, inhaling deeply. The atmosphere was infused with gratitude and a sense of familial spirit. As stories continued, Mary felt a wave of clarity wash over her. What if, she wondered aloud, we actually believed that every person has the same value in God's eyes? Every story matters. Every heart is precious. Suddenly, a hush fell over the gathering, as if the very air held its breath. People began to nod in agreement, the understanding spreading like wildfire. What if we became more than just listeners? Claire chimed in. What if we actively sought out those struggling in our neighborhoods, offering not just our time but our hearts? The melody of agreement arose, and Mary's own heart began to race, exhilarated by the revelation. They could be conduits of God's love, full of compassion and unyielding belief in others. It wasn't merely attending to needs but igniting divine purpose in every interaction. But a feeling nagged at her mind. Would they really be ready for the challenges ahead? Would their faith hold strong when they faced the darker sides of life? Just then, the young man they had met earlier, who had been listening quietly, stepped forward again. It all seems great when we're together, but how do we keep this alive when the world gets tough? I wish I had the confidence to reach out, but I don't. His words hung in the air, raw and real. Everyone felt it, a shared vulnerability. The group exchanged cautious looks, and Mary felt the weight of his honesty, a divine challenge. We remember that God meets us where we are. Mary spoke, her spirit urging her on. Every moment we choose love over fear is a victory. Our faith doesn't exempt us from struggles. It carries us through them. Sharing is part of healing, and together, we can keep the flame alive. The conversation sparked once more, fueled by hope and their commitment to live out their faith. A bond knitted closer, a commitment forged to walk together through every valley and every mountain. As the night drew to a close, thoughts of moving forward buzzed through the air, igniting their souls. They stood together, clasping hands under the shimmering stars, each heartbeat resonating with a collective purpose. Yet Mary sensed an echo in her heart, one of impending challenges that would strain their resolve. What kind of burdens lay ahead? Would their faith truly sustain them when the darkness crept in? As they ventured back home, the stars glittered like the promise of a new dawn. But in each heart the question lingered, would they trust God enough to face what was to come? The road ahead was laden with uncertainty, but the journey of love was only just beginning. The sun dipped low as the dawn broke, casting a golden light over the town. Mary awoke with the thoughts of the previous night's gathering swirling in her mind. She felt a gentle nudge from the Holy Spirit, urging her to pray for strength and wisdom. Still wrapped in her blanket, she clutched her hands together, whispering her desires, a simple plea for guidance. Her heart stirred. She remembered every story shared, and the vulnerability laid bare like gentle parchment. Each tale was a thread woven into the fabric of their collective journey. Yet, as she contemplated their mission ahead, the unease crept in again. Challenges loomed like clouds gathering on the horizon. Would they remain steadfast when tested? Throughout the day, Mary moved through her routines, yet her mind was consumed with thoughts of those who needed love and support. How do we reach the broken? She pondered. How do we hold on to faith during storms? When evening approached, she gathered with Claire, Mark, and Sarah in a cozy living room. It was time to map out their plan. What do we want to do? Claire asked, her eyes bright with urgency. Mark spoke up first, his voice steady yet tinged with apprehension. I think we should start small, maybe offering help to those struggling in our neighborhoods. We could create a support group, but how do we do it well? Mary nodded, feeling the weight of his words. It may seem small, but every drop of love counts. Perhaps we begin with those we know best. And we need to be real and vulnerable ourselves, Sarah added, her voice growing stronger. If we're going to invite others into our struggles, we have to share ours first. Each member affirmed with murmurs, contemplating how their individual barriers could unite them with those in need. The atmosphere felt charged with purpose. Mary understood shedding their pride and vulnerability was a pathway to healing, not just for themselves but for others. Then we need to pray, together, Mark exclaimed. Let's ask for courage and understanding. They bowed their heads, the room filling with soft whispers. Mary felt the power of their shared faith. It was as if each prayer sent forth light into darkness. Instinctively, she reached for their hands, feeling a surge of peace wash over her. In that moment, she realized that every person, no matter how broken, is worthy of love and connection. As they lifted their heads, a renewed spirit enveloped them. There was an unspoken agreement to hold on to each other. They could be the hope in despair, shining divine love in the cracks of life. Mary reflected once more on the challenges to come. What if they faltered? What if they encountered pain that left them devastated? Just then, a knock on the door shattered her thoughts. They looked at each other, curious and a bit apprehensive. "It's probably just someone delivering a parcel," Claire suggested, but a sense of urgency flickered in Mary's heart. Could it be someone needing us? With a shared breath, they approached the door. Mark turned the knob slowly, and as the door creaked open, a figure stood there, eyes wide with emotion, a mother holding a child, tears glistening in her eyes. "Help," she whispered, and in that single word, they felt the weight of her despair. They stared at each other, realization dawning. Their mission began at that moment, right at their doorstep. This was no longer a plan. It was a calling. A divine burden had fallen upon them. Could they bear it? As uncertainty hung in the air, hope ignited deep within their souls. How would they respond? As they stepped into the unknown, Mary felt the heartbeat of God pulsing in the air around them. In that instant, she knew they needed to trust him above all fears, and then, the door swung wide open. The door parted, revealing the young mother, her eyes filled with desperation. Mary's heart dropped. In her hands, the child looked frail and lifeless, cuddled close to her chest as if he were delicate porcelain. It was more than just an urgent situation, it was a soul reaching out, searching for hope. "Please, I don't know what to do," the mother stammered, glancing back down the dimly lit street. "He is so sick. I don't have anyone to turn to. I thought maybe you could help." For a heartbeat, silence draped the room. The air thickened with weighty expectation. Mary felt a rush of compassion. Wrapping her arms around this broken family felt like a divine instinct. She took a step forward, her voice coming out as a soft whisper. "We're here for you. We can help." Mark moved to the side, opening the door wider. "Come in. We have to pray." He gestured with urgency, leading them into the cozy warmth of their living space. In that moment, they instinctively formed a circle. Mary, Claire, Mark, Sarah, the mother and the child, cradled in his mother's arms. They faced each other, all vulnerability, no masks, just raw emotions and palpable need. Mary was thankful for the gathering of friends. Their presence felt like a mighty fortress around the frightened mother. Together, they prayed in unison, each voice lifting to meet the heavens above. Soft tears streamed down the mother's cheeks as she drew strength from their collective faith. "Lord, please," Mary's words flowed, each syllable trembling with purpose. "Bring healing to this child. Touch him with your grace. Let your mercy flood this home." Then, as they prayed, Mary noticed the child stirring slightly. Hope leaped within her heart. She caught a glimpse of his pale face now flushed with color, a reaction to the warmth of love enveloping them like a mother's embrace. It was Claire who first caught the flicker her heart had seen. "Look," she exclaimed, pointing. "Yes, moving." "Oh, dear God. Thank you." The mother looked down, her breath hitching as her child opened his eyes slightly, forcing a weak smile. "Mama," he whispered, a sound so fragile yet filled with recognition. Mary felt a rush of joy igniting the room. How could it be? Was it simply belief, or had they truly touched the divine? The air crackled with something profound. Each member in the circle felt it, a connection to the miraculous. Encouraged, Sarah took hold of the mother's hand, her heart pounding in rhythm with overwhelming faith. "You're not alone. We'll walk with you. Together we can face this storm." The woman's tears flowed in torrents now, a mix of relief and faith taking root. "Thank you. I don't know if I could have made it alone." "None of us have to," Mary said with certainty. "We bear each other's burdens. That's how love works." Slowly, as they began to lift their prayers again, the little boy nestled deeper into his mother's embrace, his eyes fluttering closed, a silent testament of trust. Hope soared in that room, fueled by a spark of divine love. It was deep and blooming, a reminder that miracles often begin with a single act of kindness. But then, as they settled into prayer, the door creaked open, once more inviting an unexpected presence. Another shadow cast before them, another plea waiting to be heard. This time, the stakes felt higher. Could they handle more? What would this new arrival need? The challenge loomed ahead, but so did the promise of hope. What if this was the beginning of something they hadn't dared to imagine? The figure that stood in the doorway was an elderly man. His frame as fragile as a dried leaf clinging to a branch. His eyes, however, were alive with a spark of determination. Mary felt a prickle in her senses. There was a heaviness accompanying him, an unspoken weight that spoke of weariness and struggle. "Excuse me," he croaked, his voice raspy. I heard there was prayer here. I could use some of that. My heart is heavy. I've lost my wife, and the pain it feels unbearable." The room shifted as their focused prayers turned toward this new soul. Instinctively, Claire stepped forward, inviting him in with open arms. "Come join us. You are not alone. We can pray for your heart. This is a place of healing." As the man entered, the fear and pain etched on his face became palpable to them all. Mary felt her heart ache for him. Loss had a way of wrapping around a soul, squeezing tight until breath felt impossible. It brought to mind her own trials, and she couldn't help but empathize deeply. "Your pain matters," Mark said gently, his voice steady and reassuring. "We're all here, feeling this together. Let us lift our voices and seek comfort." The circle quickly adjusted, inviting the man to join them, hands interlocked like a chain of support. The warmth and light from the small lamp flickered, emphasizing the fragility of the moment but also the strength of the gathering. "Lord," Mary prayed with fervor, "you know this heart, this pain. We seek your presence now. Surround him with your peace. Heal the wounds that feel too deep to heal." As the prayers flowed, an inexplicable sense of calm began to settle in. The man's shoulders relaxed slightly, as though the weight of isolation began to lift. Mary glanced over at the mother and her child, their eyes glistening with shared hope. "Grief can feel like darkness," Sarah gently reminded, her voice soothing and strong. "But love can shine through, even in the shadows." Those words rang in the room, interweaving trust and courage among the souls present. It was a testament that, no matter how heavy the burdens felt, they could divide it among themselves, sharing the weight as a community of faith. The elderly man brought his voice into the circle, shaky yet earnest. "Thank you for your kindness. It feels like a fresh breath after being underwater for so long." His tears flowed freely now, reflecting both sorrow and a dawning redemption. They continued, creating a warm cocoon of promise and light. Every prayer and word they shared ventured deeper into the heaviness that held the man captive. Hope began to swell like a soft tide, lapping at the shores of despair. Then, out of nowhere, the gentle sound of laughter broke the air. The little boy, now comfortably dozing in his mother's arms, had let out a giggle, rousing everyone. His innocent joy echoed through the room, and suddenly the heaviness began to feel lighter. Life thrived in the midst of pain, and there they were, a mosaic of brokenness and healing. Mary smiled, realizing they were all gathering strength from one another. Each tear shed was not for loss alone, but a seed for rebirth. "God has not forgotten you," Mary whispered, looking intently at the elderly man. "Hold on to that truth. He brings beauty from ashes." There was a moment of silence, reverent and thick with divine presence. The rescue they sought continued to unfurl, one prayer at a time. But then, from the depths of silence, another stranger lingered outside. The flickering light cast an eerie shadow against the door. Who was this next plea? What burden awaited them outside this sacred sanctuary? The path of healing continued uncharted and unpredictable. The atmosphere shifted with anticipation as the door creaked open further. A figure stepped inside, cloaked in the shadows of night. It was a woman, her face half hidden beneath a worn scarf, her hands trembling as she clutched a small parcel to her chest. The light from the lamp caught her eyes, revealing pools of sorrow, yet within them, a flicker of hope. "Excuse me," she murmured, hesitantly stepping into the circle. "I didn't mean to intrude. I was drawn here. My child is sick. I don't know what to do." Her voice quivered, and for a moment, time seemed to pause, the air thick with shared concern. Mary's heart tightened at the sight of her. "You are never an intruder here. We can pray for your child. This is a place where burdens are lifted," she said, her voice steady, wrapping the woman in warmth. Claire nodded fervently, inviting the woman to sit among them, unearthing another layer of connection within their circle. "We can pour our love and prayers into your situation," Mark offered. He felt the stir of the Holy Spirit as someone new brought their plea for help into the sanctuary of unity. "Let us take this moment to intercede." Together, they formed a tighter circle, surrounding the woman with their hands, creating a literal and spiritual embrace. Mary felt a surge of determination rise from within. Each soul had their struggles, yet in vulnerability, they found strength, and in prayer, they found healing. "Lord," she began once more, her voice electrified with conviction, "you are the healer of all. We lift this child to you. Please, surround them with your comfort. Fill this mother with your peace amid her fear." Tears cascaded down the woman's cheeks, each drop steeped in raw emotion, mingling with relief. The collective hearts, once heavy, now pulsed with a greater rhythm, the rhythm of compassion and community. Then, Sarah spoke softly, her voice like a dove's coo, soothing and gentle. "In the times when we feel most lost, God's light can shine the brightest. Trust Him to hold your heart, and know we stand with you." Every prayer echoed with an undeniable resonance. The women's resolve intertwined with the men's strength, creating a bridge between fear and faith. The room was alive with murmured amens and soft sighs of hope. As they prayed, a wave of calm washed over the elderly man as well, his strength melding with the woman's fragile heart. "Thank you, all of you," the woman whispered as the prayer wrapped around her like a warm blanket. "I didn't know where I could turn. This means everything." The little boy stirred in his mother's embrace, sensing the atmosphere change, and gave a tiny yawn, unfurling innocence amidst the burdens that pressed down on their hearts. In that moment, a divine energy coursed through the gathering. It was a reminder that pain could bond them, shaping them into something beautiful. Mary felt a mysterious pull, a sense that they weren't just praying for relief but also for transformation, a shift that could transcend their present pains. Then, unexpectedly, a soft knock resonated from the door, breaking through their sacred exchange once more. They all turned. Who could it possibly be this time? What new plea was waiting to intertwine with theirs, ready to add to this precious tapestry of healing? The air shimmered with anticipation, wrapping them in a divine fabric of hope. What new upheaval awaited them, and could this lead to yet another miraculous revelation? The door swung open again, revealing a middle-aged man whose clothes were worn and stained, as if he had weathered many storms. His eyes were hollow, yet beneath the surface lay a spark of determination. "I heard there was prayer here. I need help," he stuttered, his voice thick with emotion. Mary's heart ached for him. This was the moment they had prepared for, the divine intersection of lives where hope could pour forth in abundance. She stepped forward, inviting him into the circle. "You are in the right place. We're here to share burdens and lift each other. What weighs on your heart?" The man's breath quivered as he clutched the edges of the doorway. "I lost my job 2 months ago. I don't know how I'll support my family. I have nowhere to turn." He paused, struggling against a wave of vulnerability. "I don't want to let them down." The shared weight of despair clung to the room like a thick fog, yet Mary felt a rush of compassion envelop them. She reached out her hand, intertwining her fingers with his, grounding him with love. "You're never alone in this. We all face trials, but together, we can become each other's strength." He took a deep breath, stepping fully into the circle. The warmth that surrounded him also embraced the woman with the sick child, the elderly man grieving his wife, and the mother who had only just walked through the door. This was a beautiful symphony of lost souls becoming one, fused by shared struggles and unyielding faith. As they settled again, Mary felt a surge within her that was both familiar and thrilling. This gathering had become a tapestry woven by God's loving hands. "Let us pray," she said, looking around at each face. Let us submit every burden to our Father. The room filled with heartfelt prayers, each voice rising in unity, a melody of desperation and hope. Lord, Mary began, we bring our brokenness before you. Heal this man, strengthen his family, and provide for their needs. Let your grace flow abundantly in their lives. Tears slid down the cheeks of those present, and Mary felt the power of their combined faith. Soft murmurs of agreement filled the air, resonating as if heaven itself echoed back their cries. In that sacred moment, something spectacular began to happen. The frail child of the woman, seemingly asleep moments before, stirred and opened his eyes fully, a soft light emanating from him. The others watched in awe as he whispered, "Mama, I feel better now." The woman gasped, joy flooding her heart. In that instant, the elderly man, held by the warmth of the group, added, "My heart feels lighter, like a weight lifted. God is here with us." His hands trembled as he spoke, yet his eyes sparkled with newfound strength. That was it. Mary realized it wasn't just prayer. It was a movement, a manifestation of love that reached beyond their gathering walls. "Look at what our faith is igniting," she exclaimed, excitement bubbling within her. "Can we take this feeling outside? There are so many waiting to experience this light." Claire jumped up, eyes shining. "Absolutely. Let us offer our community hope. Let us walk out and show them Goddess love." A chorus of affirmation erupted in the room, and they began to plan. Drawing on the bold spirits flaring in their hearts, they discussed how to connect with the wider community. "I can bring supplies," Mark volunteered. "We can provide food and prayer. Share stories that bring healing." As they organized, excitement buzzed through the air. Each member felt a pull, the kind that beckons from deep within, the kind only God can inspire. This is just the beginning, Mary realized, her heart pulsing with a new rhythm. In unity, we will become a beacon for others who are lost. With the plans laid out and prayers still fresh on their lips, they stepped outside together, ingredients of hope in their hands, which now felt full of purpose. As the door closed behind them, the air was filled with electricity, a sense of divine anticipation for what lay ahead. In their hearts, an unbreakable bond formed, a sacred promise that they would stand true to Goddess' call, letting him lead their steps into uncharted waters. Hope thrummed in every step they took, echoing through the streets of their village. And so, as they ventured forth into the world, it was not just another path they walked, but a testimony in motion, a living manifestation of faith, love, and divine grace unfolding before them like a wide-open sky, promising miracles yet to come. Will you join Mary and her friends in this journey of faith? This is the moment to show your support. Subscribe immediately to the channel, so you don't miss the next exclusive faith stories that will lift your spirits. Leave a like now. Your support feeds the algorithm and helps others find these powerful tales of healing. Comment below your reactions and testimonies about this moving conclusion. We want to hear how your life has been touched. And above all, share this video instantly with at least 5 friends who need to see this manifestation of hope and love. Don't wait even one more second to share the light. Remember, true servants of God understand the importance of supporting one another in faith.